All right, good morning, y'all. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. If you're watching this live, hi. If you're watching this on replay, hello. Go get yourself some fruit. Go get yourself some water. Go get yourself all the things you need to feel comfortable and cozy and ready for this deep dive that we're going to have today. Today, we're talking about exploring trance states through embodied spirituality. It's a topic that isn't spoken about it enough. It's a topic that is quickly seen as a pathology. It's quickly seen as a disorder. It's quickly seen as scary, bad. Don't do that, you know? So before we go into any of that, knowing that we all have this background in our collective psyche, knowing that we all have this background of demonizing trance states, you know, let's just put it like that. We need to acknowledge the room that we're walking ourselves into and the work that we're going to be doing today together. So the framework for what we're doing is, let's assume that you will be triggered. Okay, so these are the kind of boundaries and guidelines that we are walking into this space. Assume that you will be triggered. What does that mean? Assuming that we are not enlightened Buddhas yet. Hey girl, we're on our way, but we're not fully there yet. So that means that when we bump up against things that we don't like, we say, fuck you, fuck that, and you're a bad person. You know, we automatically, unconsciously, literally reject, suppress, push away. And what do we do in the industrial prison complex of America? We punish and we criminalize. So, hey, girl. So we're not doing any of that today. And if that's how you're willing to approach, as my guru, Dzongchen Khyentse Rinpoche says, do not attend the class. Log off now for your benefit, honey. It's for your benefit. You know, if you want to stay in your comfort zone, if that's the tea for you, if that's where you at, then do that. I've been there too, honey. I was a boundary queen. If things did not smell how I wanted them to smell, you're cut. If they didn't look or feel in the ways that I wanted it, bye, you were canceled. And it's not a cancellation for 5 minutes, honey. It's a cancel for life, you know? I was a bridge burner and I thought that that was spiritual. Little did I know, I was just trapped in the realm of personal development, okay? It's funny now, but back then I was very serious about it, you know? So assume that you'll be triggered and then call upon your critical thinker. Call upon the critical thinker. Call upon the wise body. Call upon the wise mind. What does that mean? Be willing to navigate edgy topics. Be willing to navigate difficulty, you know, with grace. The word is grace. And grace is not that you aren't challenged or irked or triggered. But it's like, ooh, if I am triggered, then it's something about me. And thank you for showing me what's unhealed in me. Thank you for reminding me that the anger is in me. It's my anger, my despair, my anxiety, my confusion, me. It's all in the garden of my body, mind, okay? Very important to remember that. And that is what we call somatic responsibility in this space. And don't forget any of the stuff I'm saying. It's sounding cute and funny because it's how I deliver it, but don't lose sight of it as we're going through the topics, okay? Because it could be kind of like, ooh, no. And then let the no kind of be like, oh, is it a no because of my preconceived ideas, because of how I've been socialized? Is this no because of how I've been socialized? Cared for or uncared for, you know? So awareness of all that. And one thing to also know is the vault. There's going to be a point in today's class, maybe if we have time, because sometimes I go on a trance naturally, and I lose track of time. So for all of you who are long-term students here, who seems to be a lot of you here, wonderful. You guys know that sometimes I plan for things and we go in a completely different direction. Welcome to the trance, okay? Welcome to dissolving. Welcome to literally allowing the celestial plane of trance speak through me, guide me, therefore offering you guys a new place of existence. So that and vault, which means that when I do, and if I put you guys in groups to share what you hear, it's not your story to tell. I know so many of you are storytellers. I know so many of you are teachers, coaches, guides, which is all wonderful, and I'm so happy about it. And just if you are going to tell someone else's story and you want to use the specific details of their story, consent is always the key. So make sure you have that person's consent. Can I tell your story in my podcast? Can I tell your story in my book? No, bitch, you can't. Where is the money, honey? Drop the coin if you want to tell my story. My stories are all yours. Shit, my life is so public. I don't even know anymore how to not do that anymore. Literally from every angle, I'm like receiving gifts from people and people know exactly what I want. And I'm like, how do you know that? Oh, I talked about it somewhere. And anyway, so it's not your story to tell. And there's something really important that we need to talk about right away. It's when you are listening to a total stranger and you're taking the information, it's really important that you practice being in your body. Being in your body. What does that mean in simple terms? It's like, can I hear without biases, without conditioning, without prejudice? Can I hear what they're saying without any of my preferences and any of my, unprocessed stuff leading the conversation? Your unprocessed stuff will make itself known to you as they're talking, but your job is to notice the tabs opening. Oh, that one, that one, that one, that one. Don't let the tabs become your view. Let the tabs exist. Awareness of the tabs that have been opened because of the conversation, right? And then noticing if the tabs are open and seducing you, they're drawing you, they're like, oh my God, I have to say this. Oh my God, I'm now operating on this tab. Notice if you can let the tab be and still be here without the need to operate from your past self, without the need to operate as, the parts of you that have already like died per se, So very important. Are we in agreement? And then last but not least, we are going to speak about something that can crack the door for, one of the most liberating and profound states that a human being can access. However, you are doing it all at your own risk, right? So take your responsibility for your own practice, for your own body, for your own mind, and just knowing where you're at in your life. And then also knowing that there is room for stretching outside of our little boundaries, okay? There's room to stretch outside of our little boundaries. And that room only you know. You hear me in class screaming at you, go to the edge, go to the edge. And only you know how far you're willing to go. I was talking to Lena Moxon yesterday on an IG Live. Lena is a senior instructor of the Sah method, also a mega boss within the company, and she's making it all happen for us. And she said something, and I'm paraphrasing how I digest it. She says, like, all the practices that we do that make us feel good, they're wonderful, they're necessary. However, they're still within our comfort zone. Our journaling, our meditation, even our dance practice can sometimes be done and expressed and explored within our zone of comfort. However, when we're talking about trance states, we are asking you all to navigate the edge to a place where it isn't comfortable anymore. Because if you are doing things that are within your comfort zone, Lena says, and I love that, you're not growing. because the growth could only happen outside the comfort zone. And I love that. I love that so much because it's so true, right? It's so true. Our comfort zone is built on habits that makes us feel good, even if the feeling good is fleeting, even if the feeling good is not even sustainable or beneficial, you know? So awareness of all that. Okay, cool. Are we in agreement? Are we in agreement with this? This is your opportunity to opt out. This is your opportunity to say, hey, thank you very much. Loved seeing you for about, 20 minutes. Gotta go. Totally fine. I don't take it personal. It's always very important to give that option to bow out. Thank you. Bye. Okay. So to begin, I want to do something that will already kind of move you outside of your comfort zone, which is a gibberish meditation. Gibberish meditation. And what that is for about 3 minutes, what I need you to do is allow the strangest, most nonsensical sounds to come out of your mouth for an entire 3 minutes, okay? Because that will allow some of the debris that's cluttering your capacity to be here now, present with me, to kind of fall away. So you may want to close the door. You may want to tell your partner or your friend. You may want to go to the bathroom. This is your opportunity to claim a little bit of privacy for 3 minutes. And the way it's going to sound, it's like this. It will sound like that. Okay. And it's, notice if in your life you sound like this. You would do this exercise on your own like this. This isn't working. This isn't working. This is you staying comfortable. Now, navigating the edge of discomfort will be to turn up the volume a little bit. Go to that little bit of that place. Are we communicating? So our 3 minutes begins now. 3, 2, 1. Let me put on my timer so we are not going into that place for too long. And oh, baby, roll your shoulders back. Look up for a second. Let your jaw hang. Drop your head forward. Left, right. And then let's follow tradition before we enter into that state. Hands in prayer in front of your heart. We usually put the thumbs inside like this. This is the jewel. This is a very Buddhist approach to, instead of just being flat out, there's always a little jewel inside. So you can do it like that. This doesn't make you a Buddhist, okay? This does not make you a Buddhist. It's just a symbol that we carry the jewel of liberation inside of us. So option to do it like that. Hands in prayer in front of your heart. And just remind yourself right now your motivation for being here. My motivation for being here is to free myself from all fears that hold me back from stabilizing a state of trance, from experiencing ecstasy in my daily life, from experiencing being nobody without fear. My motivation for being here is to be able to have courage to rest in my body without any fear of any thoughts or feelings, with the recognition that when I observe my thoughts, they fade away. And when I feel my feelings, they pass. My motivation for being here is to be spiritually embodied. find your own version of these words, or just may say something totally different. I'm here because I want to feel better, more relaxed, more creative, more inspired, whatever it may be for you. Just set the motivation in motion, claiming it now. Beautiful. And in Buddhism, it's when we fulfill the motivation, when we do our best effort to live by our motivation, there is a karmic momentum that we can actually change the karmic winds a little bit, you know? It's that place where like destiny and karma meet, and we can like, you know, being a co-creating with karma. So motivation is very important. In Buddhism, motivation is it's the backbone of every activity. That's what we hope for. Why are we eating? Why are we drinking water? Why are we showering? You know, everything could be a ritualized practice for liberation. Okay, so ready? 3 minutes will begin now. So we can lower the gaze or close the eyes completely. And then let's go to that space together. 3, 2, 1. How do you keep it going, don't stop. Bring your attention to the sounds. Keep it going, let it out, let it out. Turn it up, turn it up, go. Breath in. Hold at the top. Exhale. Scan your inner world. Observe the mind. Feel the body. Feel into every little corner of your body. Without added meaning, without stories. And then blink your eyes open. Okay, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you all. New versions of you all. So that is a little taste. That's a little taste of how you can actually stop discursive thinking, how you can stop conceptualizing, narrating, criticizing, which are all qualities of a state of trance, which are all qualities of dissolving the solidity, the rigidity that we have around being a fixed self, existing inherently, independently from our own side. Take note of how you felt during it. Take note of how you felt after. Very important to already start to track. Wow, that was such a weird practice. And if I saw someone doing that, what would I say about them? Oh, they lost their shit. They lost their shit. They're crazy. They're bad. They're insane. I'm scared of them. Look at the way we pathologize anything that is foreign to us. Look at the ways that we pathologize anything that's different. You don't have to be a psychiatrist. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be someone with a degree. Your thinking process is co-created with the thinking process of the world. If the vast majority of the world believes X, Y, and Z about X, Y, and Z, sorry, brothers and sisters and queers of the light, you will too, unless you take these moments to break free and start to allow a whole new way of experiencing reality to make itself known to you through these practices that crack the code, you know, that crack you out of this bullshit. Are we communicating? Is this landing? Are we arriving somewhere? Yeah? Okay, good. So what are trance states? I pulled some quotes from indigenous cultures from around the world. It's very important to also know that before industrialized, before the industry of religion, you know, before the capitalistic approach to mystical states, hear me, before the capitalistic toxic approach to mystical states took a hold of the world, trance states, mystical states were the norm, They were something that we cultivated. You know, we used to come together for it. You know, we danced into trance. We sang into trance. We created into trance. Now, with the world with the ways that the elite, what does that mean? People with more privilege, right? They were the ones who actually wrote the history books. You didn't hear the folk mother in the slums of India, the magician, the witch, the legendary healer in a tiny little Himalayan village. You didn't hear, she didn't write the book that we are now, you know, indoctrinated and socialized into believing. Are we communicating? The elite throughout history were the ones who have written what we know today. But when you look under the hood and you realize, oh, wow, it's probably a group of white men that got together and wrote the shit. Hey, honey, they left us all out. Queer people, female identified people, you know, brown, black, they are like, no, we know better. So it's important to like not go into like, you know, shame spiral, blame spiral, guilt spiral around it. Fuck it. This is why y'all here, to learn something new, to know that trends has always happened across the world. And we'll talk a little bit more historical points, but I just want you to give you just a tiny little bit of context so you start to understand that it's not that we're talking about something that's new. It's not that we're talking about something that is that only happening far in between people here and there. No, it's important to know that trends has been the backbone of how humans created so much of what we're inspired by today, so much of what's beautiful about life, so much about what's you know, like paradoxical about life. Trends gives us the capacity to hang in that space where beauty and pain can coexist, you know? So important to know that. And it's also important to know that in today's class, I will not be focusing on trends through other practices. Like, you know, there's a lot of ways of achieving the trend state. But because the backbone of the work that I'm doing and all of the certified teachers of the method and the path that we're creating, we are here to dance people into trends. We are here to dance people into trends. So what we're going to be talking about is entering a state of trance through ritualized dance practices, okay? However, it's important to know for your own research, for your own life, that trance can be entered into through a variety of different ways, you know? Are we following? Yeah? Okay. So here's some of the quotes that I pulled together. And I try to do a good job from getting people from all over the world to give you like a global view. So this is an Indonesian shamanic saying. In the ecstasy of surrendering to the rhythm, the spirits are awakened and we become one with a divine energy that surrounds us. This right here is a very important aspect of state of trance. It's feeling connected to all things and all people all at once. When people ask me, what is the greatest gift of 10 years of spiritual practice? Depending who's asking, I say this or that. But the truth of it is feeling deeply connected to people. Feeling deeply connected, because the vast majority of us, I think the biggest sickness of the world is apathy. You know, we are so apathetic. We're so disconnected. We are unwilling to get to know our neighbors, our friends in deep, intimate ways. You know, we're unwilling to go to the edge of feeling awkward for the sake of connection. And feeling connected to all people and all things is the greatest gift. And it's also a real deep practice, because at any moment, we are navigating the waves that we are all navigating, you know, happy, sad, inspired, depressed, you know. How do we navigate all of it without preference, without rigidity, without holding on, without craving? This is the work of spiritual embodiment, okay? That is the work of spiritual embodiment, is to get you to that plane, all right? So, and this is different than feeling like calling yourself an empath. Oh, I feel everybody's feelings. This is a deep connection to unseen forces. This is a deep connection to nature spirits. This is a deep connection to the birds, the wind, to the sky, to the sun. deep connection to everything that is all around us. You know, it's a sense of belonging. And it can sound a little ineffable and a little bit like, okay, cute, look, I know we're all one, unity consciousness. I'm not talking about that, sisters and brothers and queers of the light. Yeah, there's an aspect of that to it. But I'm talking about it moves me to the point of tears on a regular basis, you know, that I could literally be like, wow, we're all in the shit of an experience together. Damn, that's rough, honey. That's rough. And then, wow, all of you motherfuckers were put on the wake up list today. Me too. We're blessed. You know, that is what I'm speaking about. Feeling connected to that. Okay. Now, this is an African shamanic saying, and there's no specific African region, East Africa, West Africa, South or North Africa. I mean, North Africa will come a little later because we have Morocco here. But in Africa, in its main sort of domain, up into today, you know, regardless of how much missionaries have tried to destroy indigenous communities of Africa, they still trance the fuck out, you know, they still trance the fuck out, and they still do not give a fuck if the white people think it's crazy, because they know something that we don't know. And now here we are trying to find out, you know, we're socializing ourselves into a new way of being. Okay, so here's what he says. When the drum calls, we enter the sacred space of trance, where the spirits speak through us, guiding and healing the community. When the drum calls, we enter the sacred space of trance, where the spirits speak through us, guiding and healing the community. I love this because it really speaks to something that I notice so often. Just going to make a note where we left off so I can give you some downloads on this one. You know, in the somatic activated healing work, oftentimes what I'm doing is I'm bringing these deep, dark beats, these tribal drums, this kind of music that elicit movement. And sometimes that movement is dark and ugly and monster-like and scary. And it's really interesting to watch. And I say interest because I'm being sweet and kind and graceful. And simultaneously, it's fucking annoying to watch. You know, I'm like, literally shut the fuck up, get fucking moving. And I'm also like, you know, I'm your teacher, so I'm loving you through it. But I'm also like in the human experience with you, like, bitch, the freer you get, the freer we can all get. Freedom is relational. It's required. Get free, bitch, so I can get free too. You know, that part. So I watch when the drum kicks into the room, when the beat enters the room, and I notice people who are either like, okay, go there, you know, move me, move through me, let the past unravel out of me, let the burdens of the old move through me and out of me. Let me give voice to my past without words. Let me give voice to my past without words. Let my body communicate all the ways that I didn't have a chance to communicate through the dance. And I don't see people doing that. And I get on the mic, honey, and I'm screaming at the people. Literally, look at me at the rehab center 2 weeks ago. I mean, granted, the person who filmed that, I think they're here today. They did a fantastic job at capturing the beautiful moments. And it was a beautiful class. And I don't have that kind of like capacity to do when we are on Zoom online. But this right here, when the drum calls, do you follow? Do you hear? Do you listen? Do you listen to the call of the drum? It's a prehistorical calling. It's an archaic calling, and not archaic as bad and old and shouldn't look at that. It's like, do you listen and do you follow? Are you that person that when the music plays at the supermarket, you give it a little, you turn to your best friend and you're like, like, or are you that person who's like, don't you wish your girlfriend was a freak like me? And you just like whisper under your breath, but you don't like, don't you wish your girlfriend was a freak like me? You don't give it. If you don't give it, that's part of you not following the call of the drum. Are we communicating, y'all? This is what it takes for freedom to take place. Are we communicating? So when the drum calls, do you follow? Do you listen? Do you let yourself be guided? And the example of that song isn't like the best example, but it is a great example because it really, like, how often do I allow myself to move when the body wants to be moved, when the past wants to be given voice, and not the story of the past, but the movement of the past. In somatic activated healing, in the work of our somatic philosophy that we have co-created here from the trance state, we're not engaging in the stories of the past. We're engaging with the feeling tone, with the texture of the past. Or we're giving it a non-verbal story through movement. And when we give our past non-verbal, non-conceptualized, non-storified capacity to move through our bodies and out of our bodies, that creates the bridge into a state of trance. Are we communicating? Are we tracking? Okay. So this is the Sufi tradition. In the whirling of the dervishes, we lose ourselves and we find the divine. The dance becomes a prayer, a path to enlightenment. In the whirling of the dervishes, we lose ourselves and we find the divine. The dance becomes a prayer, a path to enlightenment. We lose ourselves and find the divine. This is a very important topic, and I'm going to go over it in detail later. I'm just kind of creating context for you guys to understand what we're doing here. What do we lose when we say we're losing ourselves? What do we say? What does that mean? The fixed ideas of who we are. Conditioning, ego, stories, individuation, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. These are all students who've been practicing this for a long time. So it's kind of like doesn't count, y'all, but thank you. Keep it coming. If y'all motherfuckers didn't know this shit, I'll be mad, but because But listen, it's good that you're reminded of this stuff. What we lose, it's all of this. And also, there's something to be said about this. To enter to a state of trance, being embodied is the first step. And then disembodying is the next step. So first becoming embodied, and then disembodying. The disembodiment is not that you are no longer have a body or have yourself. All that still exists in relative level. But there's something that happens around the rigidity and the fixedness and the solidity of who you are and the way you see yourself on the world that falls away. You really become nobody. And I've spoken about this before, briefly, as we got into the class. But when I tell that I feel deeply connected to every single thing, the connection that I feel is not conditioned, is not myopic, it's not circumstantial. It's not like colonized and socialized. It's something that surpasses all belief systems. It's gnosis, you know, it's a gnosis, a deep inner knowing that in Buddhism, in the Christian sort of Judeo-Christian literature, they call it a gnosis. In the Buddhist world, we call it spontaneous arising. It's a quality of shunyata. It's a quality of emptiness. It's a realization that we only exist in context of each other, that we only exist as a social body, that we only exist interdependently, not independently. That's hard to hear. It's hard to hear sometimes. And so we lose ourselves and find the divinity, and that connection that I'm seeing, that I'm deeply connected to all people. That's what I'm speaking about. It's feeling so deeply connected to all people that I don't know where I end and where they begin. The boundaries that separate us fade away. That's the work that we're trying to arrive at. However, hear me out. A lot of you haven't had a chance to actually claim yourself and claim your experience. And from one side, it's like, yeah, that fucking sucks, right? Because it's good to know who you are. It's good to know your preferences. It's good to know what you like and what you don't like. It's good to know what sets you free or keeps you in an inflammatory, toxic state. And once you get to know all of that, then the rigidity and the fixedness and the solidity of all that has to start to loosen. Or when someone says, do you eat Thai food? And you have historically said no. And you're like, yep. It's that simple. It's to that place. It's to that place, you know? It's to that place where we are actually testing our edge, you know? Ram Dass says that, you know, he's been sober for God knows decades. You know, he passed, but towards the end of his father's life, his father was dying, so he stopped teaching to go spend time with his father. And Ram Dass is one of the greatest mystics that's ever lived, you know, brought so much intuition and wisdom into the Western world, right? He trained in the East and in the north of India with Nimkro Ali Baba, an amazing mystic, one that had these like emanation bodies, played tricks in society. It was like a true riot of a mystic, you know, would appear in 3 different places at the same time. People would be like, what is even happening? How are you here and there and there? You know, people were just like, what is going on? He was a riot, and I love riots naturally. So Ram Dass says, and I'm giving you an idea about becoming nobody, about we lose ourselves and we find the divine. His dad is dying. He goes spend time with his dad, and he's been sober and a vegetarian for decades. His dad, all he wanted to do with him was drink a glass of champagne and eat oysters. Do you think Ram Dass said, no, I'm not going to eat oysters. I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat, you know, animals. Or you think I'm going to drink champagne with you? No, I'm sober. Fuck that. These are bad things. That's the call to lose yourself. That's the call to lose yourself. Does it make sense? That's the call that you got to learn how to make. How do you make that? Not after a class like this and all of a sudden you just got weight. You just woke up. You know, your awakening happened during COVID. You're not ready for that. Trust me. If you just cracked the code during COVID, honey, you got a couple more years to go at least before your rigidity and your preferences could start to dissolve a little bit. But navigate that line with more flexibility, you know. Navigate the lines with a little bit more flexibility. So this is, we lose ourselves and we find the divine. That is the divine. In the Sufi saying, in the whirling of the dervishes, we lose ourselves and we find the divine. The dance becomes a prayer, a path to enlightenment. This is the dance that we're being called into, is losing ourselves, which means what? Losing my preferences, my rigidity. And then enter into the divine. Divine is what? Connection. The first stage of experiencing divinity is connection, not intuition about a new business idea, honey. Granted, that's a cute look too, but that's not the divine that the mystics spoke about. The divine that the great saints and sages of walked earth have spoken about is the awakening of deep interconnection, you know, deep interconnection. So that's a very important thing to know. Very important thing to know, you know, and only you will know in your own life what that looks like. Are my preferences, listen closer to this, are my preferences setting me free or keeping me stuck? Are my boundaries setting me free or keeping me stuck? Can I enter the state of trance where I become nobody, and then nobodiness then orients my somebodyness? Are we communicating? Write that shit down. I don't even know what I just said, but it was fierce. Next. This is the Native American saying. So Native American, it's usually speaking to North American tribes, right? Trance is the gateway to the realm of the ancestors, where wisdom and guidance are bestowed upon us. Trance, the gateway to the realm of the ancestors, where wisdom and guidance are bestowed upon us. Okay, this one, there's many ways to interpret. And what I also want to say is that in the context of trance that I am teaching today, we are not speaking about possession. Okay, in the realm of trance, it's very known to, and you've heard people say this before, and one of our teachers, Anna Scott, said this in a Zoom meeting with all the teachers for the membership the other day. She says, let go and let God. And I love that. And also there's danger in that space, right? And danger in that space because we oftentimes, because of the ways we're living, because of the ways that we are creating, self-producing ourselves and our future and in our present moment, and the consequence of how we've been producing ourselves, our present moment shows up in X, Y, and Z ways. And if you open up to a more esoteric view of unseen beings existing in the world of the seen, then when we open ourselves up to the trance state and we're speaking to our ancestors, one could download that information, one could speak to that information simply by saying, I had this massive insight. I had this massive change of heart. I've had this massive realization. It could be that simple. One could name that as like, you know, one of my ancestors came to me and spoke to me and this and this and that. Or within that realm of ancestor speaking and direct guidance from beings, seen and unseen, lived in this plane or unlived in this plane as we know it. In the space of trance, what can often happen is possession, which is something that doesn't happen unless you are allowing it to happen, and also doesn't happen without the consent to happen. And also, if your motivation isn't clear, you know, so it's very important that when you're dancing into a state of trance, your motivation is always, you know, set and clear. When I used to go with my ex-boyfriend Ben to the cemetery, I would always claim, you know, the energy that we're going into the cemetery with. And I would always like, you know, establish the boundary of what was allowed and what wasn't allowed, you know. So when we are starting our dance practice into a trance, it's very important to always know this, you know, because sometimes what we may be hearing in the state of trance, if we don't have that clear motivation, isn't benevolent, you know. And it's important for me to name this, and it's a little like, oh, fuck, now we have this to worry about. No and yes. Okay, so it's a little texture there. So Siberian shamanic saying, in the sacred circle of the shamanic trance, we travel to unseen realms retrieving lost parts of ourselves and healing our souls. What I want to highlight here, retrieving lost parts of ourselves and healing our souls. Really simple way to interpret this, it's how much of your current energy, how much of your current attention is right now currently split, thinking about the ex-boyfriend, thinking about lunch, thinking about that deal, thinking about this thing, thinking about that thing and that thing and this thing and that thing. Like how much of your current energy is right now in this very moment split across all planes of existence without you even being aware that you're fully split. When we enter into the trance, we are retrieving lost parts of ourselves, which means what? We're calling back our energy. We're calling back our energy into our bodies. And from that place, then we can shoot up into these realms, you know? So the trance grants us that. Does that make sense? And it's something that happens naturally. It's something that happens naturally. It's something that, like, as you dance into the dance, as you trance from the dance, you're calling back your energy. And it's not like, let me go into a trance because I'm so scattered, I'm so not concentrated. It's not that basic, honey. But that's also, you know, it's good too. But it's not, it doesn't have to happen in that way. You don't have to name it. It's like a byproduct of it. It's a consequence of entering the trance, okay? So important to name that. So this is the Moroccan Nagwa tradition, and I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. It's G-N-A-W-A tradition, Gnawa tradition. I'm going to say it like that. Forgive me for mispronouncing it. And it says, dance rituals transport us to a state of trance where the boundaries of the self dissolve and unity with the universe is realized. I'm reading this one to emphasize the fact that people from different tribes across the world, in the North Americas, in the African region, in the Siberian region, in like far and wide, in Indonesia, like literally in every corner of the world, they're all speaking to that same place that we're speaking about, you know, dissolving the self. And we'll get to why that's so scary in a second, okay? This is in Brazil, Candomblé tradition. Candomblé is a Afro-Brazilian religion. It was brought to Brazil during the times of slavery, and it flourished in a really powerful way in Brazil. So in the ecstatic rituals of the Candomblé tradition, which is drumming and dancing, and there's a lot of that, we merge with the divine energies, receiving guidance and healing from the orishas. Orishas are the deities, right? Or the gods and goddesses, however you want to see it. And this is one of the reasons why when you read my bio these days, like all of the greatest things that I've been able to create have all come from a state of trance, have all come from not me like thinking about the questions and hoping to answer the questions by thinking upon them, or like, you know, researching them out. It's all made itself known to me through the trance state. I bring the questions to the dance, you know, I bring the questions to the dance, and then the answers live through me. The answers dance through me. Is this making sense? Very important that as a dance practitioner, as a trance practitioner to be, you will be bringing your questions to the dance. And sometimes, listen to this, your questions will not have an answer because you're not ready for the answer. Because you're not ready for the answer. You know, and a lot of times we hold back from going into a state of trance, that really deeply inspired state, because we're afraid to hear that kind of guidance. We're afraid to hear that kind of guidance because once we hear it, you can't unhear it. You can't unhear the fact that you have this big, powerful, bold mission and you're here to end poverty, you know, shit like that. Because the trance is going to give you some deep shit. All of a sudden you're running for mayor of your fucking town. I don't fucking know. All of a sudden you're like working at a homeless shelter. All of a sudden you're, shaving your head and like joining and stuff. I don't fucking know. Like, it is wild what the trance guidance could offer your life. However, we are afraid of it. So physiologically, we hold ourselves back. So when the drum calls, we go a little bit like, we don't go whoom, whoom, whoom. That is you holding yourself back from cracking the code into that space, Okay, so let's go into, write down your questions for this first part, okay? Now I want to speak about the sort of trend states through history. These are sort of historians, archaeologists, and authors who've written beautiful things about it. So we are kind of like building some more information, So Brian Fagan, who's an archaeologist and author, says, trend states were an integral part of ancient religious practices, allowing individuals to transcend the boundaries of the physical world and commune with the divine. Emphasizing that point. These earlier quotes that I read to you were from shamans, wise beings, sages, witches, wizards, mystics who were living this work, who were speaking these words in their tribes. And then from that tribal language, it sort of seeped into the collective culture. And then we get to hear it now. Now we have people who have been socialized not into trance, who have been socialized into studying trance, who have been socialized into being scared of trance. But then we have great beings who are writing beautiful things about it, who are now sparking our curiosity to re-enter that place, to be curious about that place, okay? Which is very important, very important, because historically, as I said, the elite has pathologized, criminalized, demonized trance states. And now this resurgence of trance, it's really calling us to curiosity, and the curiosity for the unseen, for the divine, for the mystic realm, okay? So here we go. Jean Clotis, archaeologist and prehistorian. They say ancient cave paintings and rock art suggest that altered states of consciousness, possibly induced by trance, played a significant role in the spiritual lives of our ancestors. I love hearing shit like this. I love hearing stuff like this because it's studying cave paintings. We're able to see that our ancestors were already trancing the fuck out, like seeking higher wisdom, going beyond the boundaries of our fixed self, going beyond the boundaries of the material world. And I personally don't like the word altered states, which comes up a lot in trance. I don't think it's altered state is a way to speak about trance. I think it's a natural state. It's our baseline, it's our backbone, it's operating from that place. And the work begins like, can I stabilize the wisdom from a trance state in my life? So then it's not an altered state of consciousness, it's your new normal. Can that be your new normal? So that's the offering. Okay, are we communicating? Yeah? Jeremy Narby, an anthropologist and author, says, the examination of ancient artifacts and rituals reveals a deep connection between trance states and the religious experiences of ancient civilizations. Michael Harner, anthropologist and author. By studying ancient shamanic practices and examining archaeological evidence, we gain insights into the role of trance states in facilitating healing, divination, and spiritual transformation. Michael Harner, anthropologist and author. If you guys want these names too. So last quote on this stuff, just to give you more like historical context for this. Mircea Eliade, historian of religion. Trance states were a fundamental aspect of the religious ceremonies of ancient cultures, serving as a means to establish communication with the spirit world. It's very important to know that before religion became industrialized, before religion became, you know, part of the toxic capitalistic, you know, domain, which capitalism is good. However, there's toxic aspects of it, which is most of us are socialized into, right? Before that, trance states were part of Christianity, were part of the Judeo-Christian sects and mystical paths. You know, they have just been, you know, stripped away because of fear of the kinds of information and downloads that those who were trancing through the dance into those states of deep, profound wisdom were bringing back, and were sort of creating a riot. And a riot in my vocabulary is bringing about information that was illuminating shadow aspects, bringing about information that was illuminating blind spots. It was living like such a bright light that wherever that person that entered into the trance walked, there was no way for you to not see your own shadow. There was no way for you to not see your own blind spots. There was no way for you to not see your own unresolved baggage, okay? So now, when did the pathologization of trance states begin? There isn't like a specific date. I can't tell it was like, you know, the specific date at this afternoon. It wasn't like that. It's kind of has been happening, but there is a couple main points that I want to tell you guys, so we're all in that same realm. Stanley Krippner, psychologist and author, says the pathologization of trance states can be attributed to a fear of the unknown and a desire for social control in increasingly hierarchical societies. Why would they want the folk people to have access to the most profound wisdom? Why would they allow that? If the folk person, if your local bodega owner was entering into a state of trance, in communion with the deities, in communion with the gods and goddesses, the saints, the sages, the ancestors, everything that is benevolent and holy, why would they allow that? When the guy in the fucking throne with the fucking thing and they wouldn't want that person to have access to the wisdom of the saints and sages. So what did they do? They criminalized trance states to make sure that that kind of information was only within those to a certain socioeconomical background. However, we've always said, fuck that shit. We're still going to go into that place because we know how and we're worthy of it. So your choice to enter a state of trance, it's your choice to say, fuck to this hierarchical systems and to these socioeconomical systems that's criminalizing poverty, that's pathologizing poverty and destroying our world. Are we communicating? You know? So your choice to go into the dance floor and enter into a state of trance is you literally dismantling, unraveling out of your system, unsocializing it out of your system, all the ways that this hierarchy that keeps us stuck, these systemic oppression happens because we're all bought into it. We all bought into it that white people are better than black, that straight people are better than gays. We all have been socialized into that as the norm. When you go into a state of trance where all of that dissolves, this hierarchical system fades away. What are you doing? You're moving society towards the right, towards the holy, towards the benevolent. Are we communicating? So when you hear the psychologist speaking about that, it has to know, I pray, I hope, I wish that it moves you out of your comfort zone to dance into that state. So you become a beacon to dismantle homophobia, racism, queer phobia. All of the things that are wrong with our society, we can dance into the answers, living us, and then you're now walking as a permission slip for a new approach, for a new way of living, being, existing. Are we communicating? Is this too much? Have I lost you? We're good. We're good. We're navigating. Okay. John Ryan Hale, psychoanalyst and author. Trance states were once revered as sacred and associated with spiritual enlightenment. But with the rise of organized religions, they came to be seen as a threat to religious authorities and were subsequently pathologized. It's really important to know that before religions became institutionalized and capitalized and all that stuff, music and dance were part of every single practice, every single mystical practice, you know. And it's interesting to read the commentary of some of the Buddhist texts that are shaming folk people for dancing, shaming folk people for singing. And it's, in my view, this is my view. This isn't like the Buddhist doctrine speaking through me. No, but hey, girl, maybe. We don't know, right? Who's talking shit? But listen, my view as a cultural commentator, as a cultural analyst, as someone who is observing reality, details, and creating patterns, and noticing the annoying, boring patterns that we're all, you know, living under and operating by. My view is that all these texts that are shaming trance states and shaming dancing and singing, that is all because it's being filtered through the mouth of the translator. I said it, and I'm not unsaying it. So that's there. Don't need to be repeated, but that. Okay, so now Stanley Krippner, we read a quote from him earlier. Psychologist and author. He says, the medicalization and the pathologization of trance states can be attributed to the influence of Western psychiatry, which seeks to classify and categorize human experiences within the framework of mental disorders. Now, this is when the thing starts to get a little, this is when the dance starts to get a little, you know, a little texture, okay? You got to take this information. You got to take this information and be with it. You got to take this information and be with it. You can't take this information that I'm giving you guys and live it as the highest truth. If it feels like that in your body, then shit, go, girl, live. But if there's a little bit of skepticism around it, maybe you have a fear of being inspired, and you have a fear of being liberated. You have a fear of being okay. That's also another piece of the puzzle. And there's also a call to embody this information, to dance this information into being yours. Dance this information to being yours, okay? So important to know, I'm going to talk a little bit about the psychiatrical, now it became like this theatrical thing. It's not what I mean. This psychiatric approach to these inspired states. And so here with like grace and openness, you know, we'll get there in a second. Let me just tell you one more thing. Trance states challenge the boundaries of the ego and the rational mind, posing a threat to societal norms that prioritize control and conformity, leading to their pathologization. Graham St. Jones, anthropologist and author. Now that we have this framework, let's go a little bit deeper, okay? Psychiatric movement took place 19th and 20th century. And through that, it's been very helpful to give name to experiences that weren't named before, okay? It was very helpful to give name to experiences that weren't named before. So that's good. Wording the world is good, okay? Wording the world is good, and it's also fucked. So paradox, right? You know, as a teacher, it's my job to always bring you into that space of paradox where two realities can coexist together, and then that will propel you to open a third reality, right? So when we see someone in a state of trance, oftentimes, because of how we've been socialized, we're scared of it. You know, and that fear, what is scary, what happens, gets named as bad. And if it's bad, has to be healed, has to be transformed, has to be resolved. We quickly go into these planes of resolution. But we know that everything just comes to be and falls apart, comes to be, comes together and falls apart again. And resolution isn't something that is part of the spiritual path. It's an openness for things to come together and fall away, come together and fall away. That's what we're seeking. You know, Pema Chodron says, the great Buddhist master, soon to be a saint in my view, she says, we are so desperate for resolution. We're so desperate for resolve. But we are worthy of something much bigger, much more profound. We're worthy of this ambiguity, this paradoxical state of openness, for things to come together and fall apart, come together and fall apart. Because when you think about the things that you consider resolve, are they resolved? You know, are they resolved? Just reflect on that. Like, is there such thing as resolution in our lives? No. Things have just come together for a certain time and then they fall apart. And maybe that coming together stays on and sticks for a little while, but they fall apart again. You know, that's just the nature of this reality that we're in. Everything that's in this realm of existence, it's inherently impermanent. So the fact that things come together and fall apart is, and I don't know why I went in this whole rant about it, but speaking about the things that we demonize, speaking about the things that we are pathologizing and afraid of, all of that stuff. Trance gets categorized in that space because when we go into a state of trance, we come out changed. And how dare you change so fucking quick, bitch? How dare you go into your shit, be all moping around and all like, and then go into a trance and come out like, I am a fucking legend. I'm going to change the world. How dare you go into that? What do we call that on TikTok? Manic. Oh, she's manic again. Oh, she's delusional again. Oh, she's hysterical again. Okay. And that, me using the pronoun she, her, it's because there is someone that we can attribute. I forgot the person's name. I was just listening to about this, the history of in the space of trance like that. There's a dude, a French person who is like the guy who sort of coined the hysterical thing for women, you know. And then that kind of like became the the sort of norm to say, oh, women are hysterical, you know. But what if the hysteria was a state of trance? What if the hysteria was a radical choice to stand up for yourself and stand up for the unseen world? What if that was an actual radical fucking choice to say enough with hierarchical, homophobic, transphobic? What if it was like a choice to say enough with the systems that don't work? And then the man couldn't hear it. So what did they say? Oh, she's unwell. Medicate her, you know. And I'm saying all this so you realize that this information is not, it's not something that I am telling you for the first time. You know this in your body, you know. Oh, she's in her period, she's unhinged. That language is in the space, you know. Like, I heard somewhere that, I think my ex-boyfriend said this to me. Men are obsessed with war because they're participating in an offering, a blood offering to the mother, because women can offer blood regularly to earth and men can't. So the way that they offer blood, this is a little bit like texture to here, but just invite the mystical realm into, invite the more esoteric view. Texture, politically incorrect thing, totally no. Controversial, taboo, I know. But I'm like, oh, that's so interesting way of thinking about it, you know? But what happens when men come back from war? You know, they have created such massive devastation, such massive harm. And then they are forever changed, not by the holy acts, but by the destruction, you know? Things to just reflect on. Things to just, like I told you, this was a critical analysis into life, okay? So the main thing I want you to know is that trance states when someone could be something today and be something totally different 15, 20 minutes later. That idea that someone could radically change has been pathologized because we are afraid of change. Can you hear that? Can you hear that? Can you embody that? Can you live this in your being? Vital information. You are allowed to radically change your life. You're allowed to radically change your perspective about those people who've hurt you. You're allowed to radically change your perspective about yourself. This is what the state of trance offers. You're allowed to radically change everything you want. Your perspective should and can change. The trance offers you that. Okay, so the main reason states of trance in the more recent years have become demonized is because of the psychiatric movement, which is very helpful, and also fixed label to anything is never helpful. Fixed label to anything is never helpful. Becoming your label, never helping. Living by your label as your identity, never helpful. Just knowing all this. And I know there are psychologists in the room. I know there's people that work in that space in the room. I know, and I see you. So we're dancing that dance together, okay? Now, there's also something else to name here, which is the what they call enlightenment period, or like scientific rationalism or scientific revolution in the 17th and 17th, 18th centuries, which, as far as I'm concerned, ain't a season of enlightenment, honey, okay? It's a season of like conformity. It's a season of boxes. But also simultaneously a season, a time in human history of beautiful things, beautiful discoveries, you know. Within that space, what do they focus on? They focus on reason, rationality. They focus on the scientific approach, which means what? Do this to get this. This plus this equals that. But in the realm of the mystical, in the realm of the trance, Do this plus this doesn't equals this, girl. It equals something fucking fully unhinged, completely unheard of. And that's scary for people. Are we communicating? Can you hear that? That when you bring your questions into the trance, the answers will not be, why don't you just get a haircut and tell your boss that you need a raise? No, the answers will be fucking quit that job and tell the boss to fuck off and go spend 10 days in silence in the woods. You know, it's never going to give you just a little something. Just a little change. No, when you bring your questions to the trance, into the dance, the answers will never be, why do you just wear red lipstick now? You know, why do you just, you know, do your eyebrows a little different? Why do you just get a new bag? Get a new bag. Get a new bag. Actually, you know what? Why do you get a new car? Get a new car. That's it. That's it. Get a new car. It's never going to be that. But that is what society wants from us. But we are fucking mystical, mystics in the making, embodying in the spiritual, which means what? When the 17th, 18th century Enlightenment season, the scientific reasoning and took over the world, you know, he says, you can go into a state of trance. And again, I'm only using the context of the dance into trance, not all the other ways, okay? If you can go into it and come out renewed, transformed, wiser, calmer, more patient, legendary, bright, like there's a light inside of you that it doesn't, like nothing's changed physical about you, but you enter the room and it's just like that. How do we put that into a box? How do we name that? How do we conceptualize that? How do we pathologize that? How do we give that a fucking fixed label? We can't, and because we can't, it's scary. So through the psychiatric revolution, which is helpful with the Enlightenment scientific revolution, 17th, 18th century, and then 19th and 20th century, all that stuff helpful. And for the mystic, for us who are walking the path of spiritual embodiment, of trance states, not helpful, not anymore, not anymore, okay? So this is this is enough context for this shit. Now you know, okay? And I'm like, you know, could talk to you guys about this for this part of it for a lot longer, but I feel like we got to move on, girl. We got to move on. We got to be on time, sis. What I want to share with you now is a couple main things. Actually, before we do that, let's do a short practice, okay? Let's do a short practice. Just for us to like let this material kind of sink in. We're gonna do 3 practices combined, and it's gonna be all together about 10 minutes. Okay, so first practice will be let me see. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Humming, Manjushri. Okay, it's going to be 4 practices, and we're going to bring them all into 10 minutes, okay? So let's switch gears, make some room. Let's switch gears, make some room in your space.
Probably just your Zoom setting.
What about now? Yes, okay. She was muted. Okay. Before we talk about that, before we go into this, I just want to name one more thing. The work of Dr. Scott, listen to our podcast together. He wrote that book, Addicted to Drama. He shared something so profound that I loved. It's like our inability to hear sounds that are more, now I'm digesting his information through my own view. But he says after trauma, we only have access to like really high pitched tones and really low pitched tones. That's what we're drawn to. Okay. So, and what are tones of earth? What are tones of nature? They're more in the middle, you know, they're more in the middle. And so some of the music that we're going to play today are calling you into that space, which is kind of like, oh no, I need more. Think about the movies that we're watching. Think about the music that we're listening to. Think about how horror movies have become more horrifying. Think about true crime as this like huge category that people love and are obsessed about, and how toxic that is for our neurobiology and for our psychology and for our spirit, you know? So all that stuff is a symptom of unprocessed, okay? So letting this beat start to move you, letting this beat start to move you. An option here for the next 3 minutes, to just go into a shake. I want you to find a move that you're willing to do for 3 minutes, okay? This little bounce and shake for me works really well for me. So see if that's your move. And just go to that place. See if you can become one with your action. See if you can become one with your action. See if you can become one with your action. And just go to that place. And I want you to find a move that you can practice for a whole 3 minutes, you know? It may be this. It may be this. We're not doing somatic postures right now. We're just doing simple movements right now. I'm gonna stay with the shake. So option to just breathe into the nose and out to the mouth. This is music from Candomblé, this Afro-Brazilian religion. And I want you to just go to that place. See if you can just allow yourself to move. Allow the body to stay in motion. And keep breathing the body. Breathing the body. Breathing the body and moving. And remaining inside, see if you're holding yourself back from moving in a way that discursive thinking stops. See if you can move in a way that conceptualization and meaning making can stop. See if the beat, as it starts to turn up, see if you can allow the beat to move you. See if you can allow the beat to go to that place with you. And go. Go. Don't stop. Go. If your movements are small, it's fine for them to be small. It's fine for them to be little. But the most important way for you to know if you're moving on the way into the trance, are you still reflecting on your life? Are you still narrating your movements? Are you still conceptualizing the experience? Keep it going. Don't stop. Don't stop. Actually, I need another 3 minutes from you to just move. Free form. Free form. Free form. Go. 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 No guidance here. No guidance here. I need you all to just move. I need you all to just move. 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 3 more minutes here. How does the body want to move? You want to know if you're holding yourself back? You want to know if you're moving in the right direction? See if the discursive thinking has stopped. See if you're able to give the thinking process a break. Find the repetition of the move and move it. Find the repetition of a move and just move it. Free. Free. Move it, move it. Allow yourself to go to that place. Allow yourself to go to that place. And once you arrive, just go drive. Breath in through the nose, go. Out through the mouth. I'm open and willing. I'm open and willing. Go. Move. How does it want to move? How do you want to move? How do you want to move? Yes. Move it. As the music stays there, go! Use this opportunity to go lowering your gaze or go to the height. Allow whatever to move up and out of you. Let it spin you down. Let it be weird. Let it be ugly. Let it be what needs to be. Move it. Move it. Move it. Stop. Don't stop. If you stop, it's conceptualizing. It's conceptualizing. You start fine. It's not a minute. You gotta stop. Go. 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 Beautiful. Beautiful. Immediately sit down. Sit down. If you need a sip of water, take a sip of water, but don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact with me, with nothing. Use this opportunity right now. Read in the chat right now these words. Om A Ra Pa Zana Di. Om Ara Pa Zana Di. Actually, let me send it to everybody. How does okay. Okay. So what we're gonna do from this place that we're in, that we already started to pave the way into a trance. We already started to pave the way to releasing the debris of the past, to creating the bridge from the past into the present, from the present into the state of trance. Past to present, present into trance. The free-form movement, the breath, the shaking, all that stuff has already started to release the debris. Now read these words out loud. Om Arapazanadi. Om Arapazanadi. Om Arapazanadi. Om Arapazanadi. Okay, so this mantra, the simplest way to translate it is letting go of all delusions and embodying the wisdom, the enlightened wisdom that is available to all of us at every moment. In Buddhism, we call this embodiment of wisdom called Manjushri. It's this guy right here, okay? We don't need to go into that place. You could just know that you're chanting the words of letting go of all delusion, letting go of everything that holds me back from liberation, letting go of everything that holds me back from the trance, and embodying the gateway, the path into wisdom as wisdom, okay? So, which then reveals the true nature of reality, which means what? That the trance wisdom has now become embodied, has now become stabilized. Okay, so Om Arapazanadi. And for 3 minutes, what I want you to do is I want to chant these words out loud. Om Arapazanadi, Om Arapazanadi, Om Arapazanadi. And that's what this, when you enter the trance, this is what it sounds like. Om Arapazanadi, 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 Om Arapazanadi. And I want you to sway either front to back, or side to side, okay? And I want you to chant the mantra as fast as you possibly can with intention, with intention. Om Arapazanadi, Om Arapazanadi, Om Arapazanadi, Om Arapazanadi, Om Arapazanadi, Om Arapazanadi. This mantra does not make you a Buddhist. This mantra just helps you to pave the way into liberation, okay? So 3, 2, 1, we have already done some of the scrubbing. This is the perfect time to plant those seeds, okay? 3, 2, 1, let's go. Swaying either left to right or front and back. Front and back, yeah, whatever works for you. Om Marapazanadi, 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 Om Marapazanadi, 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 Om Marapazanadi, 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 Om Marapazanadi, 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 Marapazanadi. Oh, Marapazanadi, 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 Marapazanadi. Oh, Marapazanadi, 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 Marapazanadi. Oh, Marapazanadi, 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 Marapazanadi. Oh, Marapazanadi, 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 Marapazanadi. Oh, Marapazanadi, Marapazanadi, Marapazanadi. You're not practicing if you are fixing your hair, if you are caught up in the stories, if you are reflecting on your life as you chant in the mantra. Bring all of your attention into the movement of your lips, into the sound that's coming out from your mouth. Become one with the sound. Become one with the words. Oh, marapazanadi, 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 marapazanadi. Oh, marapazanadi, 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 marapazanadi. Oh, marapazanadi, 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 marapazanadi. Oh, marapazanadi, 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 marapazanadi. Oh, marapazanadi, 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 marapazanadi. Oh, Marapazanadi, 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 oh, Marapazanadi, 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 oh, Marapazanadi, 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 oh, Marapazanadi, 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 oh, Marapazanadi, 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 oh, Marapazanadi, 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 oh, Marapazanadi, 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 oh, Marapazanadi, 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 oh, Marapazanadi, 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 oh, Marapazanadi, Marapazanadi, Marapazanadi. Oh, Marapazanadi, 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 oh, Marapazanadi, 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 oh, Marapazanadi, 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 oh, Marapazanadi, 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 oh, Marapazanadi, 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 oh, Marapazanadi, 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 oh, marapazana di 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 oh marapazana di marapazana di marapazana di marapazana di marapazana di marapazana di marapazana di. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Stay here with your eyes closed. Beautiful. Well done. Well done. Well done. So here's what I want to do for a couple minutes. And before we go into a couple minutes, let me ask you something. If you have to jump off right at the 2-hour mark, please do. I would like to go 15 minutes over. You know, you've heard me say this a million times. I would like to go 15 minutes over just because there's a couple of things that I want to chat with you guys about, okay? So first of all, when we have the, let me remove this real quick.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, good. So when we are in the shake and in the free form of movement, what happens that holds us back is a fear of entering the unknown, right? Because when we have caused harm to another person, and when another person has caused harm to us, what state were they were in? A loss of control. And who did they lose control to? Their unprocessed pain. So hurt people. When we're hurt and we give our power to our stories of the pain and the unprocessed emotional baggage of the pain of the event takes over the ways we see the world, takes over the way we speak about the world, takes over the way we act in the world. We lose control. So the loss of control moves us to harm another. Same thing for the other. You know, they have hurt us because they lost control. They didn't have the tools or the practice to process their pain as it happened. They didn't have the tools and the practice to process their wounding as it happened. Now, when we're speaking about the shaking and the free movement, and we're speaking about the trance and the mantra, oh, when we are unwilling to become one with our action, we're unwilling to become one with when we're able to merge with what we're doing, when we're actually able to become the words we're chanting, we're actually be able to be the shaking itself, we're then paving the path into the trance state. You know, paving the path to the trance state. However, why are we not crossing over to that place? You know? Wow. I just feel everywhere. But wow, it's delicious. Why are we not? Why are we scared of it? Why are we so scared of it? Because we don't want to go near anything that losing control is a requirement. We don't want to go near anything that losing control is a prerequisite. And sorry to break it to you, brothers and sisters and queers of the light, but trance state is, for you to actually go into that state, it's required that you, so good, my God, bless. It's required that we lose control. So when we're watching this is for the teachers in the room who are teaching the method, when you're watching your students, and this is for all of you who are practicing yourself into trance, we see their unwillingness to go there. It's a very clear, deliberate choice that they're making to not go to that place. So as teachers and as practitioners, we have to have compassion. I don't want to go there because losing control has led me to harm another and has led another to harm me. And when I was, when someone else was harming me, I didn't have control. Maybe we were young, maybe we were, all kinds of ways that the world harms us and we don't have control in how to protect ourselves and bring ourselves into a place of safety. So anything that has to do with lack of control, we perceive as lack of safety. And when we perceive as lack of safety, we're like, fuck this shit, I ain't going near that. Honey. But the trance is a requirement, okay? So when you notice yourself still chatting up in your mind as you're doing the practice, and I have friends who are dancers and they're incredible dancers, and they suffer with psychological imbalances pretty regularly, addictive tendencies pretty regularly. Why? Because their dance is choreographed. Their dance is choreographed, and the dance that we're dancing is a trance state. It's a trance dance which has no choreography to it. What's moving you at the beginning is the past unraveling out of your body, and then what moves you is a trance, making art with your movement. The trance is painting the world with your movements, okay? That part, which is very scary, very scary. So when you see someone with these very manicured moves, you think if the world was dancing the way the world is dancing because of TikTok, the world would be getting better. But the dance that people are dancing on these places, it's a very manicured, memorized, intellectualized dance. It's not a freedom dance. Freedom dance leads to freedom. Choreographed dance, sorry to break it to you, it could lead to freedom if you're deeply present, but oftentimes it doesn't. Because it's manicured. It's within a boundary. It's within a very fixed, rigid boundary. And spiritual embodiment is the choice to get out of the stories that you have. It's the conceptualization, the meaning making, the preference realm, the boundary realm, the individuated realm, and get into your body and experience reality from the realm of mind and body working together, not the other way around. When you are in your body, the mind works for you. When you're not in your body, the mind is the master. And when the mind is in control, you are the servant to the mind, honey. Ooh, girl, your shit is crazy. The yogic scriptures call the mind, the untrained mind, the mind that's not embodied, the mind that isn't operating under the spiritual embodiment. It's like a drunk monkey that's being stung by a scorpion. And I 100% believe that, because my shit's been crazy, but thank God, embodied spirituality brought me back. Anytime, the path of embodied spirituality is knowing that anytime I'm caught up in discursive thinking, anytime I am conceptualizing and narrating and criticizing and holding fixed preferences and believing that I'm separate, believing that I'm better, competing, comparing, anything that it is in this realm, it is not embodied spirituality. Okay. Now, when we're able to get out of that realm and be where our bodies are, be where our breath is, embodied spirituality. The gateway to becoming disembodied, to enter the trance, is only through entering back into the body, merging with the breath, and then letting it all go. Okay, very important to keep this in mind as we're practicing this, as we are, because it's ritual. What is ritual? Ritual, because trance requires ritual. It's a repetition of the holy, and the repetition of the holy leads to freedom. So when we can repeat the holy over and over again, it creates a pathway into the freedom state, which is the trance. Now, think about the pathways that you have structured in the architecture of your brain, the pathways that you have structured in the patterns of your mind. If you don't have a repetition of the holy happening in your life regularly, it's almost like it's too foreign and too scary. It goes back to all the ways that we are socialized into being scared of freedom states, being scared of freedom, being scared of trance, okay? So embodied spirituality is one that is simply calling you back into your body at every single moment. It's one that says, remaining in my body, observing thoughts and feeling feelings is a pathway to freedom. Embodied spirituality at its simplest form, it's the realization, the knowing, the doctrine, the perception that the way to achieve true liberation is when I can actually rest in my body, observing thoughts and feeling feelings without added stories, without added meaning. It's that radical choice. And for you to arrive at that place, it requires deep ritualized training, deep ritualized training. As I was going on the walk, 5 to 7 hours a day for 32 days with my dad, the grief walk, and I posted about this. The most unsettling realization I had was how much of my thinking process is polluted, and how much of my day I'm visited by unpleasant feelings. Even with almost 10 years of practice, but spiritual embodiment can hold me with the fact that I know that all experiences fade, that all feelings pass, that all thoughts fade and pass and change. And feelings and emotions and sensations and thoughts are not the definition of who I am. Embodied spirituality gives us the backbone to know that everything is just a passing visitor, which is very hard to realize that because we are in a space where we are in this realm of spiritual, psychological babble and social media. And it's emphasizing more and more change the way we think, to change the way you feel, which is not the truth of embodied spirituality. It's not the truth of truly letting go of events from the past. Embodied spirituality calls you to feel what wasn't felt. And when you feel what wasn't felt, the way you think about it changes, not the other way around. We are in a world that thinks that if I think differently about what happened, I will feel differently about what happened. Therefore, I will speak about it differently. I will act about it differently. But that isn't what embodied spirituality speaks about. Embodied spirituality in the co-creation that we are in right now about it is one that says, feel into the unfelt. Integrate the unprocessed by feeling it, and not by searching your way into the shadow rooms, by being in the present moment. Here and now, I have answers to every single thing. Here in the now, I can literally make peace with my past without having to unearth and remember what happened. It's a very radical approach to liberation. But this is what we speak about it. It's truly knowing that when I can rest in the present moment and I can engage with life and someone bumps up against me and I get triggered, the anger, the blame, the victim mindset, the shame, the despair, the confusion that has come up inside of me in that moment isn't necessarily related to that experience. If it's hysterical, and not to use, language that is toxic here, but in the context of this, if it's blown out of proportion, it's historical, which means what? It's unprocessed from the past. Instead of having to go search, oh my God, that thing happened with my mom, this happened to my dad, with my uncle, that teacher, that friend, that partner, and you have like 12 stories that you're working with in therapy. That's not embodied spirituality. Embodied spirituality says, in the present moment, freedom lies. Which means what? If you're triggered in the present moment and something happens and it bumps up against your own shit, and you all of a sudden you go into that place where the monster is about to come out, the monster is about to come out, and you're able to literally realize, oh, wow, the monster's coming out, not because of Jenny from the coffee shop. Oh, it's because of this thing that happened back there. Don't even do that. Don't even start to intellectualize the past, because in Buddhism, we say you could never point a finger until you're a Buddha to the realization, when did it start? Embodied spirituality reminds you that it didn't start with you, but it's your responsibility to deal with it, bitch. Period. Now, here's the truth. If in the present moment, you can actually be with the anger, the resentment, the despair, the confusion, that the event in the present moment brought it up for you to see, brought it up for you to feel. And in that very moment, you're able to actually be with it in a way that it starts to move up and out of you. And you're being with it, and you're being with it, and you have the call, oh my God, let me bring this into the dance. And you're able to bring this into the dance, and you're dancing with it, and it dances you, and it dances you, and it dances you, and it dances you, and it moves out of you. What has been moved out of you? It's not the emotional baggage that was brought up because of your experience with Jenny at the coffee shop this morning. No. What's being processed out of your biography is anger from your biography. Are we communicating? So it's not one time and done, obviously, because there's layers and layers of the anger. But the beautiful thing is that you don't have to bring about this story to the person that you're working on your trauma healing with, your wounding healing with. You don't have to bring every single story to heal the emotions that you feel in regards to that story. No, if in the present moment you feel that emotion coming up, and you're able to bring it to the dance and dance it with you and let it dance you, your biography, instead of having that emotional charge, no longer has that charge. It's got all this shit, but not that. Does that make sense? That's the power of embodied spirituality. It's that in the present moment, by merging and becoming one with the breath, by arriving here in the now, where you can observe the thoughts, where you can feel the feelings, your relationship to your past changes by being in the present moment, not by talking about the past. Not by storifying, conceptualizing a new way out of your suffering. No. You as trance practitioners in the making, don't go around calling yourself a trance practitioner now because you've done one fucking workshop, honey. Do not do that. That's the problem with the space that we're in. Practice ritualizing your dance. Ritualize your dance practice over and over and over again until the trance becomes one that you're driving, and all of a sudden your eyes roll to the back of the head, and who's driving? I don't fucking know, but you're being driven. Don't do any of that I just said to you, okay? Don't do that shit. But that's the offering, okay? That's the offering. That's the offering. And then embodied spirituality as a gateway to trance becomes, I know that I'm triggered. I know that I'm unhinged. I know that I'm like overreacting. Somatic responsibility over that shit. Go to your house, put some of the fucking music from this playlist, go into the somatic activated healing. Find a teacher that you like, or just watch one of the old classes, you know, or just put any music and just now do that work. First, be with the feeling in the body. Okay, cool. And then when you notice that it starts to change, okay, cool. When there's movement, listen to this. When there's movement from a place of stillness, that is your invitation to the trance. Now, if the feeling has just surfaced in your body and you are immediately wanting to move, you're doing the thing that a lot of people do, distracting themselves from feeling. Now, when the feeling strikes in your body and you're able to meet it from a place of presence, from a place of present moment, and you're able to be with it, even for a little bit, and you notice that it starts to change, little change starts taking place, then the gateways to the trance have been opened. Then the doorway is arrived. Are we communicating? Does that make sense? And it's only going to make sense once you are able to do that. Next time you go, you know, hang out with X, Y, and Z, who's a triggering, who like literally, you know, brings up the old shit for you. And you're able to be like, okay, cool, I got it. And then you're able to remove yourself for a moment, take care of have somatic responsibility, gateway yourself into the trance state. Once you do that once, no one can take that away from you. Are we communicating? So, most important thing to know, which we didn't have a chance to talk about it because there's a lot to cover. When we enter the trance, discursive thinking falls away. Discursive thinking falls away, which you're not conceptualizing the past, the future, storifying, giving you meaning. All that falls away. It's your awareness becoming the dance, and then that place where the body, the rigidity, the preferences falls away. And then when you come out of the dance, there's a sense of being rejuvenated. Why? Because you disembodied, you became nobody, you soften your edges, you let go of the rigidity, the fixed view that you had about your past. And when you pull yourself back together in this experience that you and I are talking, you're new. You're new. Is that making sense? Is that landing a little bit? Yeah? Okay. Feelings and emotions and sensations fade when we enter the state of trance. They pass away. Very important to realize that it's not often that you're going to bring a question to the trance and an answer will be given to you as like, yes, no, no. The universe doesn't speak in black and white language. The gods and goddesses, the deities, the divinities, saints and sages don't speak in black and whiteness. It's always, probably an answer is always answered with another question, which is hard to hear. It's probably always answered with another question, urging you to move, you know, urging you to become more curious. And sometimes the answers that you bring to the trance don't get answered because there's no need. There's no need. Nothing needs to be resolved. In your desperate need to have answers, it's your desperate need for control. It's your desperate need to have a specific script going a specific way that works for you. Attachment. That's right, Kelsey. You know? So I think I've covered the thing, you know. I'm looking at my notes. There's like a couple more pages that we didn't even touch, but I feel sort of complete in what we've gone through today. I also want to just quickly explain a couple things that we didn't talk about. There are many ways of entering the trance. Many people enter the state of trance through running, singing, chanting mantras, writing. You know, in the world that we live in today, People call a state of trance a flow state or a peak experience. Extreme sports can get you there. Meditation, silent meditation can get you there. In the context of what we're doing today, it's really, I want the trance to come about from free movement, from an ecstatic, dense state. You know, we also need to realize that trance invigorates our lives. Trance states, they infuse our lives with joy. They infuse our lives with ecstasy. You know, so the more you cultivate trance, the more you re-enter back into the trance over and over again, the more you are splashing your biography back and forward with joy, with beauty, with grace, with sweetness. You know, very important to keep that in mind, okay? And why are we trancing in all kinds of ways? And there is, you know, bad trance, there's demonic trances, there is the phone trance, the TV trance. Everything is inducing that state where you lose sight of the self. You know, however, we need to be working on trances that are benevolent, holy, sacred, ones that are actually liberating us, one that are actually not helping only ourselves, but all people everywhere who we come in contact with. That's the trance that we're speaking about here. However, a lot of the trends that are happening now in the world are really like, you know, hurtful trances. There's something called like battle trance or war trance. You know, there's so many ways of staying delusional, you know, but your choice to stay awake is radical. Your choice to say, I don't know this, help me see this different, bringing it to the dance, bringing it to the trance gods, bringing it to the trance goddess. Help me see this differently. That part is what sets you apart. It's what really puts you on the role of responsibility, you know, responsibility, okay? And notice the practices that you're doing day to day that are creating, you know, because like when you're watching TV, a lot of TV or social media, you are like, think about it. It's very similar to the good things that I'm talking about, the trends. You lose yourself in the character. You are not, you don't like, you forget where you are. You forget the boundaries of your body, you know. You're not hungry, you're not tired, you're not thirsty, you know, like you literally lose yourself in that space. And one may say toxic trance, you know, or one may say, you know, do it within in little bits of the trance that isn't the one that comes from the dance, that wasn't the one that comes from ritual, you know. Very important to know, how are you trancing out? How are you entering the trance? What do you do regularly to get your trance on? You know, as humans, we need ecstasy, we need joy, we need bliss. You know, and let your biography be weaved with bliss, with joy, with ecstasy, from a place of trance, not from a place of bypassing, you know. Notice how you're trancing out. Really take accountability of like, oh, wow, I watch a lot of TV. I spend way too much time on social media, you know. I would love for you to go listen to some music, some tribal music out of a speaker in the woods, in the forest somewhere, you know. And I would love the forest to be so like, to give you some privacy that you could do that naked, like in the nude, like move through that fear. You know, get yourself a little Airbnb in the woods, upstate, wherever you are, secluded little area, and just like go to that place. Feel what the ancestors felt, you know, ritualize your trance into liberation by being in the nude, by dancing with the forest. And then come out of it and tell me, bitch, that you're not changed. Tell me that something didn't fucking unlock for you. Okay? All right. So opening the door for you guys for the next 15 minutes to ask me any questions you have. And then we'll go. So raise your hand and then I can bring you up. Just raise your hands in a little thingy like that. And I will start bringing you guys up. Hello, love.
Hello.
Hi.
I just had one question with the state of the boundaries of what's allowed and not allowed in the state of trance. This is more of like a practitioner question, but isn't, or just to like confirm, isn't the Sah method already like a built-in boundary for that when you do a segment?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I just wanted to like clarify to be like, oh, is there anything else I need to put intention into?
No, the Sah method is fully built in.
Yeah.
You know, that, yeah, you're saying the right thing, because the reason why we do all the somatic postures and the breath and the mantras and the meditations, it's all to get us to that place, you know, which I see you doing so beautifully. I see you going there. You're such an impeccable teacher. Oh my God. Good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Who else? Questions. Remove spotlight. Trisha, where are you? Wait, how do I? Oh. That's spotlight. Okay. Hi, Trisha.
Hi.
Can't hear you.
So Can't hear you. Oh.
Now.
Now.
Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned so having like an intention before you go into the trance. So let's just say I'm practicing, but I don't have a very specific or clear one. How should I then go into it?
Intention could just be like, oh, I'm hearing myself.
Oh, let me mute. Hold on.
Is that better? Okay. Yeah. The intention could just be the simplest intention is always like, may my life, may my body, speech, and mind be always oriented towards the benefiting all beings. You know, may my life be a message of love. You know, it could be that simple. Oh, and Scott's here. I didn't know. Hi, my love. Yeah, is that helpful?
Yes, thank you.
My God, go eat some fruit, bitch. That's some good shit. Wow. Kioma, what's the tea, my darling?
So, good morning. Hi. I know my trigger that always comes up is a religious one. And I don't want to say I'm godless because that sounds what it sounds like. And I appreciate everybody's path and direction, but I really struggle with the God coming into things. A lot of people that come to my classes and I'm working with are very uber religious, and it's hard for me to be there because I guess it's judgment, and I'm just asking, how can I work with this to make it positive so I'm not left biting my nails, because it really frustrates me. And I mean, no disrespect to anybody, but from where I come from, it's not what I do. And I am naked in the fucking woods.
Okay, what's the question?
How do I be less judgmental where this is concerned? Give me a sign, give me a pill, give me a statement, give me something to practice.
Just don't be judgmental. Just literally just that simple, honey. Shift, let that shit go. Just let it go. When you notice judgment coming in, bring it to the trance. Bring it to the trance. Next time you are naked in the woods, say, I want judgment gone from my life. I want the next 24 hours to be judgment free. you know, bring it to the trance, bring it to that space. I want it to be gone from my life. Make a vow for 24 hours and then slowly start to unravel out of your system. The awareness is wonderful. The fact you already have that, you know, you already have that. Great. I know I'm a judgmental. I can be a judgmental queen. Cute. It doesn't feel good in your body. You know you don't like it. So time to go. Bring it to the trance. Literally, there's no mantra, no nothing. It's the trance could help you. Move it with it. Let it move you, you know. But bring it to it as soon as it's alive. As soon as you're like annoyed as fuck, bring it then. Because it's going to be activated.
I knew you'd say that.
Hmm?
I did. Yeah. I love you. Mwah. Thank you.
Haley, hi.
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 So my question is, I've just done my certification in hypnotherapy, and I've definitely noticed that like fear. And you mentioned something about having compassion for people who are scared, who have that trauma that they're scared to let go, to go back to that place with no control. And I was just wondering if you could speak a little bit more about, you know, exactly how, I guess, like, is it even our responsibility to push someone into the space? Probably not, right? Like you said something along the lines of, you said it was a firm decision for them to say, you know, I don't want to go there.
Mhm. Yeah. The only thing I want to just say though, hypnotherapy and the work that we do is a little different. We're never asking anybody to revisit anything. We're never asking anybody to go back into the past. The somatic work that we do and the trance work that we do, it's always like present moment only. And if the stories about the past come up, it's our job to not engage with the stories, not even for a single second. It's just be with the feelings, because the stories, what happens? They propel us and they elicit and they cause us to go into the future or the past. Now, the feelings, they're always calling us to the present moment. So that's the difference. Memories and stories and thinking process are always propelling us away from the present moment. Now, feelings are always calling us into the present moment. And that's the difference in embodied spirituality versus anything else, a lot of different things. Now, with that as context, it is going to be an annoying practice when you are working with someone and guiding someone and or seeing even in yourself how we are resisting going to that place, you know, of the trance and where we merge with the environment. It's scary. And then just having compassion, you know, part of the work that I'm part of the judgment kioma that comes up for me in the room is being judgmental about the people who are unwilling to go to that place. Yeah. And I walk right by them when their eyes are closed and I'm like, let it go.
Yeah, because it's almost like they need it the most, you know?
Yes, they needed the most. They needed the most. Yeah, but they won't go there, you know, right away. It takes a long time to decolonize our minds, you know, and to unsocialize these hurtful states from our body and from our mind, you know. And, you know, one thing that might be helpful, you're welcome, Haley. I hope that's helpful for you.
Yes, thank you.
And one thing that I'm calling everybody into doing is joining the teacher training that's happening August 26th through October 26th. I'm going to put the link here for you all, because we go into deep detail into all of this stuff. And it might just be an amazing opportunity for you all to be certified and knowing how to care for people and how to create the container for trance states, you know, because in the train, you're going to learn all the tools for it. So keep that in mind if you have curiosity about it. Questions about today's workshop. Come on, no questions? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Either raise it like this or click the little thingy. That's spotlight. Also, there's someone, Erica, wait. Erica, you need to come on video so I can pin you. Here you go. Oh. Ansley, hi, my darling.
Hi.
Hi, I'm new with all of this. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I look as frazzled as when you've brought up what really gets me, and especially with that religious trauma side of it, is, and this is like a confessional a little bit for me, with the possession aspect of it. I feel that when we've been conditioned to lean one direction as a sense of goodness, that we automatically pendulum swing the other way sometimes to break out of it. And would you say, and I have it written down the way I wanted it worded, would renewed, strengthened, and articulated motivation help and potentially be the only release from previous possessions? Does that make sense?
Kind of. So you've experienced possession before?
I wouldn't, not like in an extreme sense, and it's mainly, but it feels that way.
Okay. Look, when we are able to set the motivation for the practice, and we're able to like let the breath be our utmost, dearest, sweetest friend. And when we are able to like observe thoughts, feel feelings from the present moment, when we go into a state of trance, there is a safety that happens where you're held by benevolent forces, where you're held by unseen holy forces, you know, but also navigate that realm lightly. You know, see if you can just dip your toes today. Okay, cool. Maybe in today's practice, you danced a little bit and you felt into it and you went into it for a little bit and you're like, ooh, you know, I had a student recently when we're talking about the trance state, they said the moment that I entered the trance, it felt so good and amazing. And like 2 minutes into it, they got flooded with a wave of sadness and they immediately left the trance and they immediately opened their eyes and came out of it. That is the past unraveling out of you, you know. It's not per se, you know, an entity taking over you. I mean, we need more context for that. But in the context of the somatic activated healing and this kind of trance that we're speaking about here, just baby steps. That's all I'm saying, my dear. Just like see if you can set a good, clear motivation for your practice, coming to the body. Observe your thoughts without evaluation, feel the feelings without pathologizing, without added meaning. Be like, okay, I can witness all of it. Okay, cool. Then set the motivation, go into the state of trance and navigate that space for a little bit where like you're like, wow, what's even moving me? Oh my God. The moment these questions start to come in, when you start to like narrate your experience, stop. Enough for today. Try again tomorrow. You know, and in one way to enter the trance that's a little bit more less scary is to work with a mantra. You know how we did today. There is more ground into your identity, into your boundary, because you're hearing your voice, you're feeling your lips move. You know, does that make sense?
Yes. And I think what's so heartbreaking for me was dance and trance were a part of such a liberating time for me. And then around the time of my mother's passing, I was demonized by my grandmother essentially on my mother's deathbed. And it kind of, put that fear back, you know, and it was everything that I felt liberated from for a few years. And I've been trying to pull myself, and this has been, you know, thank you.
Wow, I'm sorry. Yeah. I think let's practice together, you know, keep coming to the sessions, keep coming to the room, and we'll keep, you know, holding each other in that space. And it's such a beautiful community here, such incredible teachers, and then reach out, you know, we all can create support for you through this space. And it's I think we got you. You know, I think we got you. That's literally I'm like, what's the wisest thing to say without even fetching for it? It's just, let's dance into that place together. You know, just the knowing that you're not alone. I think that's the most beautiful thing we can offer each other, you know?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ansley Weller, hi, my darling.
Hi everyone. I saw. I have, yeah, this has been so great today. Thank you so much to you and to everyone, because it does feel like a safe container. You know, I've been realizing for the trance state how important it is to be in a safe container, to be able to have a safe place to heal or to enter that state or to let go and surrender to the environment, like merging with the environment. And so that, I guess that's, you know, like I have a couple different questions because I really am fascinated by this, having this vocabulary, you know, and really focusing on this. It's like, I feel like I have a new pair of glasses on. So I'm really trying to identify, oh, is this a trance state? Like what level of a trance state is this? Like what is a trance state? And, you know, I guess my question is like, if you're merging with an environment, and it's kind of like being a drop of an ocean versus the ocean, if I'm like gonna merge and become like the ocean, you know, and lose and become more anonymous, like a nobody, as was said in the very beginning, when is that the right thing to do? And how do you know when the right thing is to actually be more embodied and like more specific? Like, how do you navigate that? Because I do see you, like, you change gears like no one I've ever seen. Like, you seem to always kind of be able to like be, you know, like at the right place at the right time, doing the right thing, you know. And I do see you, you know, go in and out. So how do you like navigate that? Like, what is your advice for?
Great question. I love this. That's a really good question. Thank you. The simplest answer is with practice. Literally just like making a trance practice daily, making a dance practice daily, meditating daily, and doing all the things that I talk about daily without fail. And even if they're little bits of it, but just doing it regularly. What happens is wisdom is always available to us, you know, because what happens when we are entering the trance, what we said about earlier, we are unsocializing what's been socialized into us that isn't helpful. We are decolonizing the colonial abusive ways of violence out of our body. We are unshackling ourselves from the pain of the past, and we're unraveling our bodies of emotional baggage. When we are unraveling all these layers out of our body, what is left behind is wisdom. And that wisdom is what can orient our change of gears really quickly, where you know when to like have a boundary, or you know when to fully merge, you know when to like, you know, surrender to interdependency, and you know when to actually claim your independency because it's the right move for all people. You know when to be the smallest person in the room, and you know when to be the wisest person in the room. And you're not afraid of being the wisest, and you're not afraid of being the smallest in the room. It's that kind of, you know, navigation. And you can only navigate these spaces by doing it regularly, you know. And the only way to actually, and now I say all this, and now one added point to it, it's embodiment outside of ritual is what's really going to set you free. Embodiment outside of ritual is what's going to set you free. What does that mean? That means that I'm walking down the street and I'm not walking on my phone. and I walk 6 blocks and I don't even know how I got to the coffee shop. I drove 45 minutes and I have no idea how I even got here. You know, I was talking to my friend, but I have no idea what they said. I hang up the phone. I have no clue what they said. I've totally forgot. You know, I lived through the entire day yesterday. And I have no idea what I did. Like, there's so many barometers that we can check if we're embodied or not. You know, like knowing what to eat for our bodies, knowing how much water to drink for our bodies, knowing how much rest we need for our bodies. There's so many ways of knowing if we're embodied or not. And then through all these embodied little moments, right? We're going to the coffee shop and someone cuts you. I keep talking about the coffee shop. It's not like nothing happens for me at the coffee shop these days, but I just use it as an example. For instance, I'm going to use an example that's actually real. There's a guy that I work with that I facilitate connection exercise at a homeless shelter here in Venice Beach. And this guy doesn't have social awareness, meaning he doesn't know when to stop talking. Like, it's just, you start talking to them and they just could talk at you for an hour. If you don't have the cue to say, hey, 1 second, let's shift gears towards this. If I'm not embodied, I don't know when to interject. And if I'm not embodied, I'm interjecting from a place of reactivity. I'm interjecting from a place of like, I matter. I have something to say. I'm important. I am the teacher here. You know, now when I'm embodied, I'm so relaxed with the fixed view that I'm the teacher and they're the students. I'm this way and they're that way. None of that matters. So I know when to interject, where it's benevolent for me and for them. And I only know I can only hang in that plane because I'm embodied and I know, wow, okay, so they're talking, and it's been 7 minutes. Everyone is waiting to begin the practice, but they're not stopping talking because they're on that rent space. And I'm noticing myself feeling agitated. In that moment of agitation, if I meet the agitation in my body, before I let the agitation become psychological, this is the most important thing. When I can meet the agitation in my body before it becomes psychological, before it becomes a story, an agitated story in my mind, when I can dismantle agitation in the body from agitation in the mind, and I can stop the momentum right there, and I can be with the agitation in my body, and I can breathe with it, and I can be with it while I'm being talked at. While I'm being talked at, I'm receiving what they're saying. Instead of both of my points of awareness being out there, I'm receiving what they're saying. I'm touching that place of agitation in my body. And when I'm touching the agitation in my body, and it starts to change and move and pass. And as soon as it passes, I'm left with what? Grace, wisdom, presence. In that moment that it passes, that's when I burst out and say, hey, let's shift gears. They receive it like the words of a best friend. So that is the thing. But you got to ritualize embodiment, not in the cushion, not in a workshop, not only in a teacher training, not only in the retreat. You got to ritualize embodiment everywhere. You know, people are coming to clean your house. You're so embodied. They arrive to clean your house, and you can just be so embodied. You can look at them and be like, wow, they're thirsty and they're hungry. So you go to your fridge and you get 2 little pieces of cheese and you get water for them. And you say, hey, you hungry? You want some cheese? Want some water? And they're like, yes, thank you. But embodiment grants you the capacity to not only feel what people are feeling, but know what they need when they need it. But you can't arrive at that place without ritualized embodiment in the mundane. Ritualized embodiment in the mundane is what's required for a trance state that's clear, pure, benevolent, holy, sacred. You know, very important to know that, because otherwise you're doing the thing that empaths do on the internet. I know how you feel based on my socialized, colonized, indoctrinated, conditioned view of yourself. Bye. We're not doing that. Is that helpful? Okay, love you. Thank you, my dear. Okay, Jordan and Lena. I'm bringing you up. Hi, Jordan.
Hi, sorry, I had to move locations really quick. One, this was just fantastic, so thank you so much. Two, so I am a practitioner of, or huge believer in Stoic philosophy. And I've lived, former versions of me lived very much in my feelings, in my body. And that former version of me did not serve myself very well. And it moved to a place to be in my head.
You're breaking up a little bit. You're breaking up a little bit. Maybe your headphones are playing.
Here, we're done with these. We're done with the headphones.
Yes, I hear you perfectly now. Go.
Okay, great. So because I think Erica mentioned it, like there's always a pendulum swing, right? If we're too on one side, things are going to shift and they shift too hard to the other side. So I've done so much practice to try and find like the golden medium, and my life's work is all about finding this balance to exist in. And in that discovery, I'm on a path to try and find myself more in my body, while still very, very much appreciating and practicing Stoic philosophy. And I'm wondering if there's a place where the philosopher witch can exist. Like, does somatic practice and maybe philosophical practice, do they dilute one another or can they complement one another?
Oh my God, they are like literally one of the same. You know, it's just, you can't separate one from the other. You know, like that's the important thing to know. It's like philosophy and the Stoic path doesn't exist without, like, where does the wisdom live? You know, where does it come from? From lived experience in the body, from experiments in the body, you know? So it's the beautiful thing of it is to just know if I am too much in one realm or too much in the other realm. However, I don't think we can ever be too much in our body. I think we can be too much in our feelings, where we are giving meaning to every feeling, where we're giving story to every feeling. That is not good. Feelings are guides. They're calling you back into the present moment, and they're a big calling card for 90 seconds. What remains after that is a psychological residue of an unprocessed past. Now, if that is not the embodied somatic resting in the present moment path, if it's very much like, you know, dwelling, ruminating, and philosophizing your feelings, then that's not good. But one thing supports the other, because having too much knowledge without embodiment, it isn't wisdom. It's just more stuff. And what is more stuff has shown us? That it just, you know, like doesn't lead to a resting place. It only leads to more craving. To the cessation of craving to happen can only happen through embodiment. The cessation of craving, the end of desperate need for more to happen, it only arrives when we're deeply in our bodies. So the philosophies that you're working with, they have ancient roots. They're helpful. And just see if there is room for less information and more wisdom. You know, essentially what I'm saying is practice the embodied path that we're talking about here a little bit more, like navigating to that realm, and see how the Stoic path really, like, now it's like you're breathing it, you're living it. It's not like you don't have to like fetch and reflect and pull up this guiding book. It's yours. It's now not the philosopher's words, but they're now your philosophical words, because they've been digested. And you know, that's the difference from like people on the internet that you can see that's like they're great at memorizing scriptures or text and intellectualizing liberation. And it's very different, the languaging, the way they move, the way they articulate, from someone who has memorized something and intellectualized something, not embodied and lived it. What we're trying to do is gather information, but distill it down into the body. And by that is the spiritual embodiment path, where when someone hears you say it, they can hear lived truth speaking it. And we all know the texture of truth in our bodies when we hear, you know? So I hope you merge both and you take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but keep practicing the embodiment. And all of a sudden you're going to be like, damn, who said this shit? Did I say it was a philosopher from, you know, a couple thousand years ago? I don't know who said it, but damn, that shit's great. You know, that is the thing where we don't know, because there's no need to even know, because it's unique. Wisdom only comes from embodied knowledge. You know, it's very important to know that. Is that helpful?
Yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, my love. Lena Moxon, hello, good morning to you.
Hello, I have withdrawn my hand because I feel like my question isn't clear. So I'm kind of going to just, I don't have a clear question. It was around motivation as the backbone of everything from a Buddhist perspective, and just clarity and purity around our own motivation and how we can make sure, I guess, that we're not being deluded in thinking that we're acting from a place of benevolence or best interest. It's not a clear question.
We will never be completely unpolluted until we are Buddhists. That's the hard truth about the Buddhist path, is our motivations are never going to be utterly, prophetically, oracularly pure unless we are fully awakened Buddhas, where we have completely dissolved all the unwholesome, violent ways of being and fully developed the holy and sacred and healthy and benevolent ways of being. Until we arrive at that place where Buddha, the dissolution of harm and the embodiment of holy, that's the word Buddha means, right? Until that's fully actualized in our beings, our motivation will never be pure. But I say this with, that's one side of the thing. Now, simultaneously to it, the only way to arrive there is by naming the motivation with like, this, my motivation is to liberate all sentient beings, is to be a mother to the motherless, it's to literally to go to the place where love isn't there. It's to love where love is not. It's to be kind where kindness is not. It's to bring peace where peace is not. If that's the motivation, you keep bringing over and over and over again, what happens is it cracks the code. And then here's the thing, the most beautiful thing. When you set the motivation to be of help to other people, to be kind to others, to be in your body, no matter what's happening, and the motivation meets the reality where you set the motivation in the morning and you actually go into the homeless shelter and you actually do the work, that's when the karmic path radically changes. That's when you're, you know, in the cycle-babble of the TikTok, Instagram world, there's that leap, that jump where you know, we were having a meeting, the team the other day, and everybody's talking about these like quantum leaps and multiple realities happening at the same time and parallel realities. And I'm like, I can't, literally. Dana, Ansley, Kim, all talking. And I was like, oh my God, thank God we're in a beautiful, gorgeous place. I was like, wow, okay, cool. I can rest in the beauty of this moment and just like take this in. But what I'm saying is, when you set the motivation in the morning and and the motivation comes true because reality offers you an opportunity to fulfill that motivation, and you fulfill the motivation, that's when there's a crack and there's a jump where your liberation might have taken 5, 10, 12, maybe a couple thousand lifetimes before. That now is like, oh shit, this lifetime, she's getting free. Bow down, honey, because Lena's in the room. Boom. That, you know? So that's, I hope that's helpful. Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, last question. Anyone has a question? Question. No questions? Okay. So no questions? Okay. So let's do it. Bring back the jewel to inside of your hand like that. Exactly. And then bring it to your heart center. And just dedicate the merits, the goodness, the insights, anything that was benevolent and insightful and that cracked you a little bit, that got you back into your body, that illuminated something for you, that realized something for you, that embodied something for you. May all that landed for me today land for all beings. May my realizations become their realizations of all people. That's what you got to say in your mind. May my realizations be their realizations of all people. May my healing be part of the healing of all beings. And hold it there for a second. And you may offer something unique. This is an opportunity for you to activate that part of you that knows and offer a blessing far and wide in your own unique ways. Let it be your own secret blessing to all beings. Blink your eyes open. Well done. And know that every time you send out a blessing, your own secret blessing to the world, there's feedback. You know, there's communication happening. Okay, so know that your blessings don't go unfelt, unheard. They're always, you know, moving us, moving through us, orienting us, and they're being deeply nourishing. So thank you all so much. Okay, take good care of yourself. Drink a lot of water, eat some fruit, go on a dance, go on a walk, you know, get into a trance state, make some friends. And we are announcing the teacher training. Go to Target. No, don't go to Target. Don't go in a trance at Target. Do not get in a trance at Target. Make Target quick. Okay. Or actually go in a different kind of trance. Put on a whole look, honey, and deliver a vision for people at Target. Listen, we are fully announced at the opening of the teacher training to all people. And it will be a pleasure to practice with you guys who are all already part of the work that we're doing. See if it lands for you. Check out the link. It's on this chat, and it's also on the bar at the top of the membership portal. It is going to be a super long, deep dive. And in a couple of weeks, I'm doing a webinar answering questions about all of that. So I hope you join me for that too. And also ask the teachers in the room how the training went. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 teachers, 7. There's 7, 8 teachers in the room. Okay, so put your handles on a thing real quickly, people, before I unplug us all from this plane of existence. Copy all their handles and then put it on your notes, and then search them out on social media, and then talk to them how the training was for them. And then I hope to see you all there. It's a super deep dive. It is an opportunity for you to really embody the fuck out of your life. And that's the simplest way to put it, okay? It's not an easy thing. It's a deep dive, so it will call a lot out of you. But I hope to see you all there. Okay. Mwah. Love you so much. Thank you. May the trance bless you. May the trance support you. May the trance move you into the new you. Let's go. Love you all.